My good people, my good people. Hello, world. Welcome back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Robs2Cents. Hope you guys had a great week this past week and also had a great weekend. As you know, we're in the holiday season. Hope your holiday spirits are up. And I'm here to bring you a little holiday cheers. I know a lot of people are probably on vacation right now, so I got to bring the entertainment. And I appreciate you guys coming back to the seventh episode of Robs2Cents. Can y'all believe this has been 7 episodes? Man, it's something to just, start following your dreams and, put yourself out there. Because like they say, it's no persecution if you try and fail. But I'd rather try and fail than be that person that look up and I'm 50 and 60, God willing, and I'm like, man, I should have did this or I could have did that. Let's not live in regrets. Let's live for the now. Let's be great, y'all. I hope y'all been good, man. Ready to get into tonight's episode. And where do we start off at? I'm going to tell you where we start off at. First of all, if you're not watching the video, I am wearing my NWO shirt just to get in the holiday spirit. This was actually one of my favorite Christmas gifts. My wife had bought me this shirt along with tickets to my very first Monday Night Raw. I believe this was back in 2019. Was it 2019? It was either 2019 or no, it was 2017. Sorry, yeah. So it was the Christmas of 2017 because the Christmas of 2018 we were married. So wearing this NWO shirt, getting myself in the holiday spirits, and man, WWE had a great TLC pay-per-view. We will be talking about that as the last segment on the show. But let's get into tonight's episode. I should say today for the time you're watching it. And I got a couple of topics I want to go by here, Unlike your traditional sports shows, I want to talk about things that probably don't get talked about much. So some things you've probably heard before, some things you probably haven't, but I want to give you Rob's 2 cents and my perspective on today's hot topics. And one of those hot topics is Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles, is he the real deal? Now, a couple of my loyal followers of the show, they wanted me to pose this question and to give you my perspective. And I say, you know what? Hey, you got to give me more than one game. Now, I know he first made his entry into the NFL, as far as a consistent starter. He came in when they subbed Carson Wentz in the fourth quarter when they went against the Packers, which was about 3 games ago. So, and in that game, we saw Jalen Hurts come in and do his thing. I believe against the Packers, he only had he was very limited in what he did. I believe he had 1 touchdown, 1 interception that game, which wasn't a bad way to start, especially considering the fact that before that happened, I want to say that Carson Wentz had only had about 75 passing yards on the day before they finally said enough is enough. Eagles Wentz was 6 of 15, 79 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That was the 3 quarters. Again, the Eagles lost that game to the Packers 30-16. Hurts came in the game. He was 5 of 12 in the fourth for 109 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Had a 13-point fourth quarter. So before then, they had only scored 3 points in 3 quarters, and Jalen Hurts was able to come in and get them going to get some momentum going into that next game. And in his 2 NFL starts, which he started against the Saints week before last, and then he started against the Cardinals last night Sunday, or when you guys watched it 2 nights ago. So in his start versus the Saints, which was his very first start. Mind you, the New Orleans Saints have the number one defense in the league. They won that game, 24-21. Hard-fought victory for the Eagles. Hurts came in the game, did his thing. 17-34, 167 yards. He had one passing touchdown on the day. Most important stat, 0 INT, which is very important for a young rookie quarterback. And he had 18 carries for 160 yards. As we know from his time in Alabama and Oklahoma back in his college days, the boy can use his feet. And then we look at what he did versus the Cardinals, even though they lost 26-33. Hurts was 24-44, 339 yards, 3 touchdowns. Again, 0 INT, 11 carries for 63 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So those 2 games alone warranted me to discuss this subject on Robs2Cents. And if you want to know what Robs2Cents is on this, Jalen Hurts is the real deal. Now, I know he had a little shaky college career because, we saw in 2017, which was the year that the Alabama Crimson Tide, Roll Tide, for all my Alabama fans out there, had a 26-23 overtime victory against Clemson. And that was his first national title. That season, he averaged 17 passing touchdowns. That season, he also averaged 2,081 passing yards. He only had 1 interception to go with 855 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. However, Tua Tagovailoa, who now is the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, pretty much was their quarterback. They had did the switcheroo, and they put Tua in where he got most of the snaps. And that was one of the reasons that Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma for his senior year. And Oklahoma, he had a resurgence in his career. Let's look at what he did in Oklahoma in 2019. So he had 3,851 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns. He did have 8 interceptions, but out of 32 touchdowns, that's not bad. Along with 1,298 rushing yards and 20 rushing touchdowns. I mean, you look at that, the man gave you 52 touchdowns. 32 passing touchdowns, 20 rushing touchdowns, and he came in second in the Heisman Trophy voting. Again, we know Joe Burrows won that Heisman that year, who is now the starting quarterback for the Bengals, who is on injured reserve, but the Bengals hasn't done anything this year. As we know, I believe they're like the 3rd worst team in the league, next to the Jets and next to the Jaguars. Who the Jets really needed to lose their game this past Sunday, but they won, and I believe they've now lost their first-round draft pick. So, yeah, if we look at what Jalen Hurts has done in his college career, and then we look at what he's done so far in the NFL, he continues to get better and better. If we check the stat line, every game he gets better. Every year he gets better. And being in the NFL and being able to be around professionals, he's going to learn how to be an NFL player. Because playing quarterback in the National Football League is a whole nother animal from playing quarterback in college sports. I believe Jalen Hurts is going to have a great career, which brings me to one of my segments that one of my boys mentioned that I should have, and I agree with him totally. This the shame on you segment. Philadelphia, we got to talk. Shame on you for waiting this long to start Jalen Hurts. You sat there through 12 games in which Carson Wentz threw 16 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, and it didn't click inside your damn head to make the switch and name Jalen Hurts your starter. Now, I know you want to cater to your starting quarterback's ego. You don't want to be a blow to his confidence. But when you throw 16 touchdowns and at the same time throw 15 interceptions, somewhere, somehow, somebody got to get reevaluated. Because there is no way, as decent as a team the Eagles are, I'm not going to say they're the best, but they have a pretty decent receiving core. Their defense can make timely stops. But there is no way that the Eagles should be 4-9-1. Because with Jalen Hurts there, since he's been named a starter on your football team, the Eagles have been playing like a different team. And that comes from actually having a quarterback with a winning mentality. Jalen Hurts has proved since his college days until now, he's a winner. And there's nothing against, give it to him Wentz. I know Shannon Sharp like to call him walk it to him Wentz. That's give it to him Wentz. Because Carson Wentz led the league in interceptions. Shame on you, Philly. Shouldn't have took that long. Jalen Hurts is the real deal. This is Robs2Cents. And as we're speaking about the Eagles, that's going to bring me to my next topic. Now, only because it is such a tight race that this topic will get brought up on this sports show, because I don't like to talk about losers. It's a difference between losing and being a loser. And this conference has been losers. Now, we've had some teams make a resurgence late, as we see the Eagles substituting and bringing in Jalen Hurts, and we've seen the Washington football team defense emerge as one of the better teams in the league. But that brings me to the question, who will emerge from the NFC East and claim that division title? If we look at the standings right now, we have Washington in first place at 6-8. They caught a loss last night to Seattle, 20-15. Dwayne Haskins, I believe Alex Smith got injured again. Dwayne Haskins came in. They need to, if I'm the Washington football team, my next objective is to get me a stable quarterback. I don't want to persecute Dwayne Haskins too much since his rookie year, but it gets hard when you see other rookies or other young quarterbacks come out and get it. Granted, he doesn't have the best receiving core. However, that Washington football team defense is tough, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We got the Cowboys in second place at 5-9 along with the Giants. Cowboys beat the 49ers 41-33, even though they had that bonehead-ass play at the end of the game. If you didn't see the end of the game, the Cowboys were getting ready to receive an onside kick. I believe it was only a minute or so left, not even that much time left on the clock in the fourth. The 49ers kicked the ball to them. One of their returners got the ball, and instead of just falling on it so his team could come out, take a knee in the game, he saw he had a hole. He ran for the touchdown. I don't persecute him for that. But what I do persecute is the defense for giving up that Hail Mary play and letting this man go up on 4 or 5 of your receivers and score that touchdown to even give them a glimmer of hope. Cowboys, somehow you just almost find a way to lose, and most times you are successful in that endeavor. I don't get it. We saw the Giants lose to Cleveland. Right now, Cleveland's been on the road. Baker Mayfield's playing like a man possessed. The Giants were on a little bit of the run. Cowboys on a 2-game win streak, by the way. Giants were on a little bit of run, but they're starting to get stomped out now. They're not a very good football team, and their quarterback, Daniel Jones, just cannot hold on to the ball. Somebody need to put some super glue in that boy's hand. And then we look at the Eagles as they lost to Arizona. Hard-fought game yesterday, 33-26. As I mentioned, Jalen Hurts had a great game. It's just that right now, Rookie of the Year, I'm naming him now, Kyler Murray is just better. He is a rookie quarterback that has came in with a professional mindset. He does not play like a rookie, and rightfully so, he shall be your rookie of the year. But if you want to ask Rob who's going to emerge from this division as the division champions, I will have to go with the Washington football team. Here's why. If we look at the last two games of each respective team schedule, we have the Eagles who will go against the Cowboys and end the season going against the Washington football team. Which, if the Eagles can pull off the game versus the Cowboys, I guess you can say that uh, the Eagles and Washington will be pretty much playing to see who's going to win the division. I doubt that the Eagles, no, I don't doubt that they beat the Cowboys, but I doubt that they beat Washington. If we look at the Giants' last two games, they have to go against the Ravens. And right now, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are fighting for their playoff lives right now. We did see that miraculous game of the Ravens versus Cleveland a week ago on Monday Night Football. And we saw Lamar Jackson pull the old Paul Pierce. He went to the bathroom. He had to go release himself. He said he caught 2 leg cramps. It's his word against ours. I'll take his word on it. But that's not the most important part. The most important part is he came back on a 4th down, got his team the touchdown, and they proceeded to go again down the field, put his team in field goal range, and Tucker took care of the rest, the man with the golden leg. And that was a great game with the Ravens versus the Browns. And they also have to go against the Cowboys, as mentioned. The Cowboys' last games are the Giants and then the Eagles. I'm sorry, the Eagles and then the Giants. And then Washington's last game, who I believe has the easiest schedule, they'll be going against Carolina, who's 4-10, and then the Eagles to end out the season. Why do I think Washington is such a great team? It's that front seven. And we look at Washington's defense, right now they are ranked 5th in the NFL as far as defense go. And they are led by their rookie stud of a defensive end, Chase Young, as we see like I said, man, if we look at what he did against the 49ers, as we know that was his coming out party, Chase Young had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown, which went for 47 yards, and that was all in the first half of that game. So far in 13 games, he's had 3 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery, as just mentioned. Now, I know he had 0 sacks against Russell Wilson as Washington fell to Seattle. However, he kept the pressure up, and that defense was able to hold Wilson to 18 of 27 for only 121 passing yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So right now, they are looking good. That pass rush looks to be unstoppable. They are able to get to you without blitzing. They're able to put the QBs in the zones and have them drop back in coverage because that front four is just vicious. Almost remind me of those '06 Bears when we had Alex Brown and we had Tommy Harris and we had Anderson coming off that edge, man, and we had Briggs and Urlacher back there holding down the fort, man. I missed that Bears defense, man. But what the Washington football team, though, they are gonna have to do, they're gonna have to clean up that run defense and continue to pressure the opposing quarterback because that seems to be Washington's Achilles heel. You can run on Washington, and the only thing that scares me about that is that when the Eagles go against Washington, their run game is not so much as important as it is that Jalen Hurts will run the ball. Like, as I mentioned before, he had a game where he had 160 rushing yards on the ground. I believe that's when he went against the Saints, and they won. So they're going to have to clean up that defense as far as the run defense goes. But if they can get if they can get Carolina and the Eagles to try to pass on them, then we're looking at a game where Washington should dominate and that defense should take them home. And Washington football team should be your NFC East division winners. You heard it here on Robs2Cents. And we're going to keep the show going because I'm on the road right now. I'm feeling good. I hope you guys enjoying yourself. We're going to switch it over to the NBA. Got a couple questions to pose for the NBA. And join me next week where we will be discussing the NFL MVP race, who I personally think is coming down to Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, and you can throw Derrick Henry in there because lately he's been playing like a man possessed. So make sure you tune in to the 8th episode of Robs2Cents. But if we look at the NBA, we know somebody just got a huge payday. We talking about the Greek freak. We're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo. And what I want to know is, how does Giannis stand with the Bucks and signing that payday affect not only the Milwaukee Bucks, but the rest of the NBA landscape? As we know, Giannis signed the largest contract to date in the NBA. Congratulations to Giannis. I am never going to be one to go against a brother getting paid. Get paid, young brother, get paid. Get what they owe you because you put that work in. MVP, that boy Cole. But he signed a 5-year contract for $228 million. Woo! You want to talk about money. And then I was reading an article where he pulled out the Rolex for that contract signing. Premonition, perhaps? But Giannis has deserved his payday. However, I don't think Milwaukee's going to win the championship. Let's be real. It was great to keep Giannis just because they have a problem bringing top-notch talent to Milwaukee. Let's face it, it's Milwaukee. It's nothing against Milwaukee. But if you're telling me I can play for Miami or LA, or do I want to play for Milwaukee, I'm going to choose Miami or LA. If you're telling me I can play with Chicago, or I can even play with New York, I'm going to choose Chicago or New York. Milwaukee is not going to be a place that's going to just draw top-notch superstars. Unless you want to go to a Packers game all the time. But I say now, especially with the way that team is built, at best, they're Eastern Conference Finals representative. Excuse me. I just do not see them getting past the Brooklyn Nets. And honestly, I don't see them getting past the Miami Heat again. Because Miami, to me, has gotten better. They didn't get worse. But let's talk about this effect on Milwaukee. So as I mentioned, he signed the contract for 5 years. I believe he can opt out his 4th year. The Bucks did everything they could to get Giannis to resign to this team. First, the Bucks threw the Bucks at Giannis. And that's what you have to do. If you want to entice your superstar to stay, you got to pay me, bucko. I need that paper, that cheddar, that fettuccine, that guac. We need all of the above. And $228 million guaranteed for 5 years ain't a bad way to start. Then we know that they traded for Jrue Holiday, which in my opinion is a better pickup to me than Eric Bledsoe. Nothing against Eric Bledsoe, one of the toughest players in the NBA. But I just feel like Jrue is a better fit for Giannis, as opposed to he can get his own shot. Not saying Eric couldn't, but I believe Jrue is more offensively talented than Eric Bledsoe. And then also Jrue Holiday is definitely a better defender. And that will serve them great purpose, especially on those times where you have tough guards to match up against, like your Stephs, like your Kyrie, like your Chris Pauls, like your De'Aaron Foxes and things like that, like your Damian Lillard. Can't leave out Big Game Dame. And Jrue Holiday can match up well with them. And then not to mention he's an okay shooter. Not saying he's a better shooter than Eric Bledsoe, but he can knock down open threes. And in my time since I've seen him play, I would say Jrue Holiday is a little bit more clutch than Eric Bledsoe. But third, let me tell you what the Milwaukee Bucks did. They went so hard to bring teammates to Giannis to entice him to stay that they violated the NBA league rules regarding tampering. Now, right now, we know that the LA Clippers are on the hot seat because it has come out that Uncle Dennis was making deals with the Clippers front office to get them to sign Kawhi, and it was some things that they had to do for Uncle Dennis first. He wanted private jets. He wanted a ownership stake in the team. I mean, Uncle Dennis asked for a lot. I ain't mad at him. Hey, he said Kawhi is that is my superstar under my agency. As we know, Uncle Dennis represents Kawhi as his sports agent. Keeping it all in the family, not mad at him. And then we don't know what type of deal was made with Sam Presti of Oklahoma City to be able to pull off such a trade for Paul George where OKC literally got nothing. So we look at the Milwaukee Bucks, and they went through the same situation because they were in conversation with Bogdan Bogdanovic before trade discussions were able to take place. And that's tampering, ladies and gentlemen. And because of this tampering, the Bucks have now lost their 2022 draft pick because you cannot tamper within the NBA. Now, the NBA tried to make it sound nice and said because this team was cooperative, because the Bucks didn't give them any flack on gathering the information for this case, that this was a better punishment for them. But losing your 2022 draft pick, especially if there is a stud in college basketball at that time, and somebody that you can bring in from the bottom to pair with Giannis to try to entice him to win a ring. Because right now, I think, honestly, Giannis pulled a Carmelo. Nothing against Melo. Everybody who knows me know Melo's one of my favorite players. I get that from Melo, the three to the head. I get that from Melo, okay? When I play basketball. But we all know that when he went to New York, that wasn't for championships. That was for paper. That was strictly a money move. And we see now what that can lead to, because if Giannis doesn't continue to be Giannis, I guess the payday will have to suffice for him being a person who was an MVP caliber player who never won a championship. Hence your Karl Malones. Hence your Charles Barkleys. I hope Giannis finds that this is worth it. Like I said, I am happy for him that he got paid. But let's look at what he did and how it affected the NBA. So you got teams like Golden State, Miami, Dallas, and even the LA Lakers who would now have to look elsewhere for a top-notch superstar. I personally thought Giannis should have went with Golden State due to the fact that the way that you beat Giannis is you let him go off in the regular season. With the way Giannis plays and the way that defense is played during the regular season, it's okay to let him go off and get an MVP for the regular season. But when them playoffs come, and I have to play you at least 4 times, possibly 7 games at the most, and I get to focus all my attention just on the Milwaukee Bucks, then what does teams do to beat Giannis? They build a wall. They do not let Giannis penetrate the lane. Why? Because Giannis has yet to prove that he can shoot a 10-foot jumper. Giannis has yet to prove that he can shoot a 17-foot jumper. He's trying to show that he's a little long range. He has a 3-ball in his arsenal, but it's not a consistent 3, and it's not even a 3 that's in rhythm. It's more of a set shot. Giannis has not evolved his game. And I thought playing with a team like Golden State will help him evolve his game. Not that he will become a better shooter, but the fact that Golden State will cover all his weaknesses. Because you won't be able to build up a wall against Golden State, not with Steph and Clay out there. And even if we looked at Dallas, that would have been a great fit with him and Luka, considering that Luka is pretty much the point guard for Dallas. He is more of a LeBron James-esque type player. Luka will get him the ball. And Luka and those other shooters like Hardaway, Dennis Smith Jr. and et cetera. Well, I don't know. Dennis Smith Jr. is in New York now. But you got Hardaway and their other players that they had on that roster. They would have spaced the floor for Giannis. So I don't see. I see Giannis, like I said, being a second round playoff exit. Lucky if he makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and if by somehow through the grace of God that they're able to beat Brooklyn Nets, who I believe are going to be the front runners to come out of the East, just because KD is already a monster by itself. But you give him Kyrie and you give him some great role players like Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen. When you give him players like that, you almost asking KD to make another return to the finals. So I believe Brooklyn Nets are going to be the front runners for the Eastern Conference Finals. And again, if Giannis, by the grace of God, finds a way to get past Brooklyn, he ain't beating the Clippers, and he damn sure ain't beating the Lakers. That's Rob's 2 cents on that. Giannis, congrats on your payday. But Giannis, RIP to your championship dreams. That's Rob's 2 cents. And if we want to stay on basketball season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. On Tuesday, December 22nd, the NBA season will officially start. But we're not going to talk about those entry games, even though they're going to be some great games. For opening night, going to have Brooklyn versus the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant making his return to face his old team, who he won 2 championships with, where he was Finals MVP 2 times. And then we're also going to see that anticipated match that never happened in the Western Conference. We're going to see the Clippers versus the Lakers. And for the Clippers' confidence, they're going to need to win that game because the Clippers didn't get better. But GM Bron got them Lakers ready to play. But we're not going to talk about those games. We're going to enjoy those games. What I'm going to do is get in the holiday spirit. We're going to talk about the upcoming Christmas schedule that we have. Excuse me. So we have the Pelicans versus the Heat as the first game on Christmas Day. The Warriors versus the Bucks. The Nets versus the Celtics. Kyrie making his return against his former team. The Mavericks versus the Lakers. We got Luka Doncic dueling it out with GM Bron. And to end the night, we're gonna have a Western Conference Final rematch. The Los Angeles Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. And I know you want to hear my picks and my predictions. And that's what you're here for. And that's what I'm going to give you. You know Rob ain't going to leave you waiting. Let's dive right into it. So if we look at the first game, the Pelicans versus the Heat, I have the Pelicans defeating the Heat. I believe the Heat won't be able to score enough, of course. Whoever wins the game obviously score more points. But even though the Heat has tenacious defense, they don't have an answer for Zion. Maybe Bam can try to stay in front of him, but then what are you going to do with Steven Adams, the big Aussie, who they picked up over the offseason? Aquaman, as I like to call him, Roman Reigns. Man, looks like a lot of people. But I believe that Zion Williamson will prove too much. He'll be able to get his team involved. Like I said, Lonzo is shooting a lot better. Brandon Ingram looked like he's primed to try to make his stake for an MVP run. He's just going to get better and better. You still got Josh Hart. They got some pieces over there within the Pelicans that's is gonna be hard for the Heat to stack up against. Hopefully Jimmy plays, and hopefully the Heat can give us a great game. And if they win the game, I'm sorry I overlooked you, but right now I think the Pelicans are poised to make some noise and try to at least get into that 7th or 8th seed in the Western Conference final. The Western Conference. And then we look at the second game, the Warriors versus the Bucks. Sorry, Golden State, I'm such a fan. I am such a fan. But right now there's questions on whether Draymond or Wiseman is going to be playing in this Christmas game. As we saw, they didn't play in any of the preseason games, and they will not be playing tomorrow in the season opener versus the Nets. So if you're not going to have Draymond and you're not going to have Wiseman, and look, folks, I know a lot of you guys like to give Draymond slack and say, well, he's only winning because he's on this team with all these superstars. What you guys have to realize is that it's players like Draymond that make teams like that work, because Draymond is not afraid to do the things that the superstars won't do. He's your Dennis Rodman. Do I believe that the Bulls would have won 3 straight finals the second time around without Dennis Rodman? Hell no. They might have won 1. They might even won 2, but they weren't going to beat Utah twice without Dennis Rodman and the effect that he had on Karl Malone. Not saying he stopped Karl Malone, but Karl Malone knew that he was in a battle when he went up against Dennis Rodman. That's what Draymond is. Draymond is your enforcer on your team. Draymond is the guy that's going to get everybody together because people tend to forget he's pretty much the point guard for the Golden State Warriors. People always want to overlook what Draymond does and his contribution to this Golden State team. Shame on y'all. Not saying that Draymond will go to the Chicago Bulls or go to a team like the Orlando Magic and change life for them. But yeah, his continuity with Klay Thompson and especially Steph Curry setting him those hard screens, allowing Steph Curry to run out them. Draymond always keeping his eyes up, throwing those backdoor cuts, able to hit open shots himself. Draymond is a commodity to a team, and y'all gonna put some respect on that man's name. But the Bucks will beat the Warriors. I think Steph is gonna have an MVP season this year because he has to. There's no Klay Thompson. There's nobody there to bail him out. Steph Curry is gonna have to average 30 a night for the Warriors to even be in the conversation, to get any W or to be in the conversation of getting in the playoffs. I believe he can do so. Like I said, they picked up Kevin Oubre, which was a great pickup, especially considering the fact you just lost Klay. But without Wiseman there, without Draymond there, even if they were there, there's nobody that can stop Giannis. Giannis is going to have his way in the paint. And even though 3 is more than 2, if I can hit 2 more consistently than you can hit your 3, I'm going to win the game. And the Milwaukee Bucks are just too big for Golden State, and they can't combat that because how they used to combat bigger teams is they'll score more. They'll put in that depth lineup. They'll put Iggy in, or they'll put Iggy in and have Steph, Klay, Iggy, KD, and Draymond. They'll put in that what did they call them? The Hampton Five. So there is no more Hampton Five. KD is not coming to the rescue. Klay Thompson is out for the year. Draymond is hurt. So there's not enough of height on the Warriors team to even slow down somebody like Giannis or even affect Brook Lopez on the boards and watching him go to work down there on that low post. And Brook Lopez has become such a great shooter on the outside. He's already 7 foot tall. There's nobody out there to block his shot or to even get in his way. So I got Milwaukee winning that game. We look at the Nets versus the Celtics. Now, this is the game I am waiting on. Because Kyrie, as crazy as this man is, let me tell y'all what Kyrie did. I'm glad I just thought about this. This man was out there because they played the Celtics during the preseason. He was out there with Sage, lighting up Sage on the court and going around and doing his tantra, chasing away the evil spirits because he said that he felt some bad vibes in that arena. You were the bad vibe, Kyrie. You are still mad at the Celtics who learned to live life without you. That when you were playing the blame game and telling everybody the earth was flat, that this team saw you get injured and go down, and they proceeded to go to the Eastern Conference Finals where it took GM Bron to beat them. And they were happy to see you go to Brooklyn. So, Kyrie, you really need to check yourself and check your ego at the door, man, because you're starting to make a mockery of yourself, man. And you are one of my favorite players. But you are making too much money and play for one of the best companies in the world for you to always be unhappy and to have drama in your life. Are you really going to pay $25,000 just to not talk to the media? Do what Marshawn Lynch did. You know why I'm here. I'm only here so I won't get fined. But you have to realize that when you sign that contract as an NBA player, media obligations is part of your job duties. It's part of your responsibility, Kyrie. And you are too good of a damn player to be acting like that, bruh. Do not bring off the court shenanigans to this Brooklyn Net team. You guys have the opportunity to do something great. And that's Robs2Cents on his rant. But the Nets are going to beat the Celtics, of course. Of course. You got Kyrie and KD, enough said. There is not a better duo probably right now in the NBA besides GM Bron and AD. And you know I'm going to show AD love because AD is from the Shot City, which is my city. Why don't y'all come ride with me? Let's keep going. But Tatum and Jalen Brown, they're too inconsistent of a superstar. Even though I love Tatum, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum has to be more consistent. You know, I want him to tap into that inner Mamba. You know, just like I want Kyrie to tap into that inner Mamba. You guys spent time and develop friendships with one of the GOATs. With one of the GOATs. What the hell you think Kobe gonna be looking at right now, Kyrie? How the fuck you think Kobe feel? Excuse my language. But we're gonna look and we're gonna see the Nets beat the Celtics. And then we have the Lakers versus the Mavs. We have the current versus the future. We got GM Bron versus Luka. Now, we know Dallas will be without Porzingis, and unfortunately, because of that, Dallas going to catch this L. No other way around that. There is nothing anybody can do with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is probably going to go for 40 that game, but I am going to enjoy the duel between Luka and GM Bron because Luka has shown that he can still bring that pressure without Porzingis. I mean, Porzingis, as we know, he is consistently either hurt or he's getting thrown out of a game because of shady officiating. But without Porzingis there to counteract what AD does, that is going to be an easy win for the Lakers. But Luka is going to make it entertaining. Luka is going to make it exciting. And I am excited to see what Luka does this year because a lot of people have him front running for the MVP title. And last but not least, we see a Western Conference Finals rematch in which the Clippers lost after having Denver beat 3-1 in the series. All you had to do was win one more game, and the Clippers could not do it. And I think the Nuggets are going to beat the Clippers again because I just think the Nuggets have their number. Now, we know the Nuggets did lose Jeremy Grant, but they do have Will Barton back. They brought back Jamal Murray. They brought back Nikola Jokic. And the Joker, as we know, is probably the best big man in the league today besides Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis look at himself as a 4. So if we're talking about pure centers, I don't believe there's a center out now that's better than Jokic. Maybe you can compare Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid has to get his health together, and Joel Embiid needs to be on the court playing because he was out a lot last year due to stomach problems, ankle problems, foot problems. And I know being that size and being that tall and that big can cause a lot of stress on your body. But he need to find a way to play at his own place like the Joker because the Joker don't get hurt. If the Joker can play, he going to play. And he plays at his own pace. And with them, they do have Ibaka now. So I believe Ibaka can cause some pressure for Joker. But they still don't have a point guard. I mean, if you look at the Clippers, they still have Lou Williams. They got Lemon Pepper Lou, as people calling him now through his bubble stripper visit fiasco that he went through. Talking about he went to Magic City for some food. Yeah, you went there for the chicken eye, boy. You went there for some breast and thighs. Oh, Lemon Pepper Lou, but you're still my boy. And then they got Pat Bev, another Chi-Town representative. And Pat Bev, as tenacious as he is on D, and how much energy he brings, he is not an offensive threat. And I believe that the Clippers are in dire need of a point guard. I thought they were going to try to go after Terry Rozier from Charlotte. It seems like they're going to just go with what they have. So it'll be interesting to see who they're able to pick up when the trade deadline comes, which I believe now they're saying the trade deadline is up until March 20th. I believe I read that. I'll get back to you guys once I get that answer. But right now, I believe that Denver will win against the Clippers on Christmas Day. And they need that for their confidence because it's going to prove that they are for real, and that they are true contenders for the NBA crown. Gonna have some exciting games on Christmas. I hope those games get you up and get you excited and get you in the Christmas spirit. We're not gonna let COVID beat us. We gonna beat COVID. And this brings me to WWE TLC. Man, oh man, what a great pay-per-view. TLC stands for Table, Ladders, and Chairs, in case you guys didn't know. And we're going to start right off because in the kickoff show, which is the pre-show, we saw an 8-man tag team match. We saw Big E, Daniel Bryan, Otis, and Chad Gable versus Sami Zayn, the current Intercontinental Champion, King Corbin, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And Big E team won. As we know, Sami Zayn has been using these tactics lately where he's trying to get people counted out or he tries to lead the match and he tries not to overexert himself. But in this case, Big E was able to catch him, hit him with the big ending. He pinned him, which now, because he pinned the current Intercontinental Champion in that 8-man tag, Big E has now been granted a title shot on Friday Night SmackDown Christmas edition. So we're going to see Big E versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship on Christmas night, only on SmackDown Live, which airs on Fox. And then we look at how we kicked off the the TLC pay-per-view. And we kicked it off right with the WWE Championship match, which should have told everybody that what the hell does WWE have planned if they put one of their bigger championship matches first. Man, oh man, by the time we get to the end of this, y'all gonna be looking at y'all camera blinking, kind of how I looked at the TV screen yesterday, just blinking like, did I really see that? But we're gonna get right into it. We had Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles in your traditional tables, ladders, and chairs match. We saw some great things in that match. As we know, AJ Styles, one of the best to ever do it. Such a shame he came to the WWE so late in his career. However, that man's still athletic. That man still has it. He had his boy almost out there, which is this big, massive giant of a man standing at about 7 foot tall. So he had him out there to have his back. And they were having a good match up until the point where The Miz saw that everybody was hurt. As we know, The Miz is the current Money in the Bank contract holder. And if you don't know what Money in the Bank contract holder means, pretty much because he owns this contract, which he got from defeating Otis in a one-on-one match. He didn't get it from actually winning a Money in the Bank match. He got it from beating the previous Money in the Bank contract holder, who was Otis, and then that made Miz the new contract holder. And with that contract, you are allowed to challenge for any WWE championship at any time, on any show, anywhere. So even if you just had a match and you had a grueling match, let's say you had an Iron Man match and you spit, you just wrestled for an hour, you won, you could barely move your legs, The Miz has the right to come out to that ring and beat you up, pin you, bring a referee, and win the WWE title. That is the perk for holding that Money in the Bank contract. So Miz came out thinking he had an easy W and tried to cash in, but because he was not able to, he was now pretty much put into this match. So it went from AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre to AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre versus The Miz. And The Miz was almost up there on that ladder about to grab the title when AJ Styles' assistant Osmos grabbed him. pretty much grabbed the Miz like a baby and chucked him into the table. And then the match just went on from there. We saw some great spots from AJ Styles using that athleticism to get to these ladders and jumping off ladders. It was probably one of your more tamed TLC matches, and that's just because we went on a hell of a roller coaster ride with our second TLC match, which I'll talk about in a sec. But in the end, we saw all three guys on the ladder. Pretty much, Drew McIntyre chucked AJ Styles off the ladder and then hit the Miz with a Claymore kick and was able to climb up the ladder and retain his championship. So Drew McIntyre was able to defeat AJ Styles and The Miz to retain his WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We then went into Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the Women's Championship. A lot of shenanigans in this one. We saw Carmella's associate, who now goes by the name of Reginald, consistently try to get involved in the match. And I will have to say, congratulations to Carmella, because this was probably one of your best matches you had as a WWE superstar. Not saying you were bad, but you showed last night you are more than just a pretty face. You are a competitor, and you are here to fight. And Carmella, I definitely enjoyed the match. It was better than I anticipated, actually. However, Reginald tried to get involved one too many times. It backfired. Carmella tried to wrap up Sasha for the win, but Sasha was able to reverse it to the Banks statement, and Sasha Banks still your SmackDown Live Women's Champion, and you can take that to the bank. And then we saw a title change hands. We saw the Hurt Business, consisting of Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, defeat the New Day, consisting of Kofi Kingston and my boy Xavier Woods. And if we look at this matchup, now I will say it was a little subpar, just because I've seen these two teams go against each other before, and they just flat out have talent. They flat out know how to wrestle. Not saying last night was was a bad match, but it wasn't the greatest match that I've seen these teams have against each other. However, we looked, and there was a story within the story, because pretty much Cedric Alexander has transformed into this me first type of character, and as Shelton Benjamin pretty much had the match underhand, he hit a top rope suplex on Kofi Kingston. Cedric Alexander tagged himself in and hit Kofi Kingston with the lumbar check, which is a great looking move. It pretty much looks like a back splash, but as he lifts you in the air, he turns you around and you pretty much come down on his knees. And that lumbar check is vicious. He was able to hit the lumbar check, and now the Hurt Business holds all the gold, because the CEO of the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley, is the current United States champion, and now you have Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, who can all say it's great to see Shelton Benjamin hold a title in the WWE in 2020. Now we've seen it all. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander are now your WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, and now the Hurt Business truly does own all the gold. Yes, they do. And then we look at the next match. We had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who's the current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, go against Asuka and a mystery partner. Now remember, Asuka was supposed to be teaming with Lana, but Nia Jax was so mad that Lana was able to pin her that she and Shayna Baszler beat the hell out of Lana and put her on the shelf, injured her. So Asuka had to find another partner. And what better partner can you find other than the Nature Girl, Charlotte Flair? Woo! She came out styling. in profiling. Now, mind you, we haven't seen Charlotte since June, when ironically she was in a feud with Asuka, but was injured by none other than Nia Jax. I want to thank my boy Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling for that little bit of information. I give props when props I do. I don't plagiarize. I do my research. And if you found something before I did, I'm going to give you a shout out. But Charlotte Flair made her return back to the squared circle last night with Asuka, and they went on to defeat Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the women's tag team champions after Charlotte Flair was able to hit the natural selection on Shayna Baszler. And it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see these two together. As we know, it won't be long before Charlotte starts to eye Asuka and want that WWE Raw Women's Championship. But my two best matches of the night, wow. Let's talk about first the SmackDown Live Universal Championship match, which was also a tables, ladders, and chairs match, which consisted of current Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus the Big KO Kevin Owens. Fight, Owens. Fight. What a hell of a match. Because we started this match with straight action. I mean, Roman Reigns made himself down to the ring. Kevin Owens decided, I ain't going to wait for the bell to ring. I want a piece of his ass now. And Kevin Owens went to try to jump the gun and beat up on Roman Reigns. But we saw Jey Uso say, no, not today. And Jey Uso came to cause a little bit of a distraction. We then saw Kevin Owens go into beast mode as he proceeded to beat the hell, not only out of Roman Reigns with the chair, but beat the hell out of Jey Uso and even damaged his leg as he, like they like to say, pilgrimized. If you got pilgrimized his leg, if you guys don't know about Brian Pillman, Pillman used to do these moves where he'll have a chair, rest in peace, Brian Pillman, one of the legendary wrestlers of the past. Put your leg under one chair and grab the other chair and proceed to injure you. And Kevin Owens wanted to take Jey Uso out. He wanted to make sure you are not going to interfere in this match. And Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens proceeded to give us probably one of the greatest tables, ladders, and chairs matches in a long time. Because not only did this match have great action, not only did they try to use every weapon out there to hurt each other, but they told a story within this match because Kevin Owens refused to say no. Kevin Owens refused to stay down. Kevin Owens tried to fight with everything he could, even though all the odds were stacked up against him. And that's how we got to live life. When you feel you're down, when you feel that everybody is against you and you feel like the deck is stacked against you, that's when you fight harder and you fight for your life, because life is a game and I plan on winning. And Kevin Owens put on one of the better performances of the night as he attempted to fight off everything Roman Reigns and Jey Uso threw at him. I mean, at one point in time, we seen Kevin Owens giving a pop-up power bomb to Roman Reigns through the table. He power bombed Jey Uso through the table. I mean, there was just carnage everywhere. I mean, and then we look at Jey Uso continue, even after his leg was injured, his dedication to his cousin and making sure Roman Reigns stayed champion and stayed ahead of the table was very admirable. I mean, at one point in time, Kevin Owens was climbing up the ladder and Jey Uso had only one leg and he tried to get up there after him. But then we also saw Roman Reigns try to literally kill Kevin Owens. I mean, we seen him spear Kevin Owens through a table, powerbomb Kevin Owens on a ladder. Oh my God, that looked like that hurt so bad. And then when he went for the second spear, when he saw Kevin Owens leaning on the barricade, he missed that second spear. This allowed Kevin Owens to go back in the ring and to try to make that climb up the ladder. However, Jey Uso, one leg and all, climbed up the ladder to distract him. He was able to at least catch Kevin Owens' attention, in which Roman Reigns got back in the ring, delivered a low blow to Kevin Owens, and then hit him with the guillotine on top of the ladder. I mean, he choked him out using that ladder as support. We saw Kevin Owens fall. We saw Roman Reigns steal your SmackDown Live Universal Champion. He is still the tribal chief. He is still the head of the table. And I feel sorry for any opponent that wants some of Roman Reigns. And then we got to the last match of the night. Oh my goodness. Let me tell y'all. We saw Randy Orton versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Not just in a regular match, but in a Firehouse Inferno match. Now, if you guys are not familiar with WWE's history with Inferno matches, this is pretty much a match in which the ring is surrounded by fire, and the objective of the match is to burn your opponent. Whoever gets lit on fire first loses. Yes, you heard me correctly. Whoever gets lit on fire first loses. This match was made famous by The Undertaker and Kane, in which we saw The Undertaker set Kane on fire. We saw Randy Orton and The Fiend Bray Wyatt try to kill each other last night. And as you paid attention to the end of the show, based off what we saw, somebody did die last night. Man, that was probably the craziest match I've ever seen in my life. I mean, pretty much we start off, it was slow motion. Randy Orton was throwing some offensive moves to Bray Wyatt. You know, with Bray Wyatt is this Fiend character, he is oblivious to pain. And he no-sold the shit out of those punches. Randy Orton was giving him everything he got, and then that's when the action picked up. And at one point in time, we saw Bray Wyatt grab an axe. Yes, you heard me. He grabbed a pickaxe. And he started swinging this axe at Randy Orton as if he wanted to chop off at least a finger or two or maybe a nose. Luckily, Randy Orton was able to dodge. We saw them beating on each other with steel steps. We saw them beating each other with axe sticks. And we even saw, excuse me, at one point, Randy Orton was sitting on a rocket chair that Bray Wyatt brought out. Because as we know, that was the rocking chair was a staple of the old Bray Wyatt character. And of course, that was one of the things that was set on fire when Randy Orton burned down the Wyatt compound when they had their beef a couple years ago. So we saw Randy Orton sitting in this chair, and Bray Wyatt made a line with the gasoline, and he tried to burn Randy Orton in this rocking chair. Now, luckily, Randy Orton was able to move, and the rocking chair just went up in flames. We did have this cool spot in which Bray Wyatt hit a move, and I think he hit the Sister Abigail, and then he roared, and when he roared and raised his hands, we saw the fire come up. And now, traditionally, because there is no audience in the crowd, I believe that this match was pre-taped because it was announced Wednesday. It wasn't. This was a stipulation that was just announced to the wrestling world. We didn't know that this was going to be an Inferno match until literally this past Wednesday, and they announced it on social media. But they didn't have the fire around the ring traditionally because this is with no crowds in the audience. They had pretty much like the barricade, the fire around the barricade. They had like posts sticking up in the crowd area that fire just went up the pole. So it was a pretty cool sight. It was on some Bray Wyatt almost looked like he went Super Saiyan. And it was a great match, but so we end the match pretty much. Randy Orton was able to catch Bray Wyatt, give him the DDT with his leg, the draping DDT, when he pretty much has your legs draping on the rope, and he DDTs you in the ring. But in this case, he had Bray Wyatt's legs draping on the ring apron, and then he hit him on the outside with the draping DDT. And Randy Orton's idea was to light Bray Wyatt on fire, so he picked him up to try to push him on the flame, I guess. Bray Wyatt came back to life. He caught Randy Orton with the mandible claw and forced him towards the fire. However, at the last second, Randy Orton was able to turn it around, and Bray Wyatt's back was towards the fire, and he pushed Bray Wyatt in the fire, and we literally saw this man on fire, and it didn't faze him at all, which was crazy. But we know, got fire suits and pyrotechnicians in the back that know how to deal with this stuff. Future little arsonists. So Bray Wyatt, even though he lost the match, he was unaffected by this. He actually ran in the ring where Randy Orton had went back into while he was still on fire, and we saw Randy Orton deliver probably one of the better RKOs ever when he hit Bray Wyatt with the RKO, who was still in flames. Now, luckily, the flame went out, and Bray Wyatt did not budge in the ring after being hit with that RKO. And then we saw Randy Orton begin to have the voices speak in his head. And I guess he asked himself, how can I end 2020 with a bang? Well, maybe I don't need a bang, but what if I set a man on fire? And he went out there and grabbed that same can of gasoline that Bray Wyatt tried to use when he tried to light him on fire in the rocking chair, doused Bray Wyatt in the ring with the gasoline, grabbed the matchbook, and he lit this man on fire. So picture this, ladies and gentlemen. The last scene we see on WWE's TLC pay-per-view is Bray Wyatt's body burning in the ring with Randy Orton doing the celebratory hands up in the air, when he hold his hands up. Man, I said, what in the hell did I just watch? And why is Randy Orton not in jail? It was a great pay-per-view. I know some people didn't like it. It was a little too much for them. They think it's a little too crazy. But hey, y'all, this is wrestling. This is the show and the promotion where we push the boundaries. Sit back and enjoy it. But man, y'all, this has been my show. Two of the next big pay-per-views coming up for the for wrestling. If we look at AEW, we have Full Gear that should be premiering in January of 2021. And of course, with WWE, the next big pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble, in which we will now begin our road to WrestleMania. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoy tonight. Before I let you go, I know a lot of people have been sad. They've been down due to this COVID and, not being able to enjoy their times with their families like they normally have been in the past. But one thing this COVID has shown me is that you need to go after your dreams. Time is precious, and time cannot be replaced, and time you cannot get back. And as I mentioned like I said earlier in this video, you need to go after your dreams with everything that you have, because time is of the essence. Don't live your life with regrets. Live your life with actions, and live your life by doing what you said you were going to do. And I've always wanted to be a sportscaster. I'm using this platform to do my dream, because I don't need anybody to tell me what I can and cannot do. I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna do it with so much passion that you're gonna enjoy listening or watching me do me. And I appreciate you guys for lending me your ears, lending me your eyes, and even in some situations lending me your heart. I am here to bring you joy, to bring you laughter and happiness, and to bring you inspiration. That if I can do it, a high school dropout with a college degree, you can do it too. And I also want to wish you the merriest of Christmases. I hope that you guys remember to not take anything for granted. Love your families, love your friends, love your loved ones, cherish them, and give people their flowers while they're here, as opposed to waiting when they cannot receive them. I love you guys. Merry Christmas to you. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Remember to check your boy out on Spotify, iTunes, Robs2Cents. Y'all know the slogan. I want y'all to be great. And we gone.